Welcome to Rant and Rave, the show that takes seemingly random topics and does the unthinkable with them. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Don Michaels, and we are continuing on with our 48-hour special edition. And today's guest is Dr. Scott. Dr. Scott, welcome to the show, and thanks for being on.
I'm here. You're welcome.
All right. So Dr. Scott, we're as we continue on with this segment, we're interviewing different filmmakers, different actors, people involved in the Cleveland 48-Hour Film Festival. Right. And I want to learn, can you tell us a little bit more about you, who you are, what you do, what got you involved? I know it's kind of like three questions in one, but just kind of sum it up.
Yeah, that was pretty loaded. I've been doing filming since about 2000. Everything I did from like maybe 2000 to maybe 2011 was sketchy at best.
What does that mean, sketchy at best?
I was using camcorders. Back in the day, we didn't have like these Zoom H4Ns, these little portable like audio recorders. So I was doing everything on a laptop with like an M-Box and Pro Tools, and I'm like running around with a laptop. I had like 2 battery packs for like jump starting cars, and all my friends were like, "Why do we have to carry all these batteries?" He's like, "I have a laptop and the battery and the laptop doesn't work." It's like, "Well, why don't you replace your laptop battery?" I'm like, first, that makes sense. Second, I have these. And I got these on sale. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
So what you're trying to say is that filmmaking has progressed quite a bit since you originally first started in the industry.
I think the biggest thing that I've really realized that is important to me, and I think that's what happens like with time, is you realize what matters to you in filmmaking. Like, what is your style? And I care about battery is probably my first thing that I care about. Like, if I don't have power, because changing batteries every 10 minutes is really frustrating and annoying. And it throws like a gel off your actors because your battery could die in the middle of a take. So now like that could have been an amazing take. So now you got to go back.
Okay.
So like they have these big batteries that look like a brick. And it's called a V-mount battery.
Okay.
So all my cameras I use V-mounts now. And just because it'll last for like 18 hours.
Oh, wow. So no more battery issues.
No more battery issues. So,
okay.
And for the 48-hour, I try to always make it an 8-hour shoot. It seems like after 8 hours, you start getting, it just wears down the people. And, the energy gets bad. And then you have to feed them 3 times instead of 2 times. All of a sudden, your wall gets bad. So I like 8 hours. And then it gives me plenty of time to edit. I like to try to have a rough copy, not color graded, not audio edited, by midnight. And I give it to my score composer, the guy who makes the music behind the music.
Okay.
The music behind the film, not the music behind the music.
Well, there's music behind the music, but I get it.
There is. It's man, it's so deep. My brain hurts. So I give them time to process it because a lot of times, like these musicians, they don't. I'll give them the screenplay on Friday night. I mean, but who reads it?
Well, hold on. Let's start over here. Okay, let's start over, Dr. Scott.
Dr. Scott.
What got you into filmmaking?
So, to quote another movie, a Tim Burton movie called Ed Wood.
Ed Wood, okay.
Ed Wood. So, Ed Wood is frustrated. He's having a hard time making movies. He's having a hard time getting financed. And he's like, I just want to make movies that matter to me. And I see so many movies that are pretty close to what I can relate to, pretty close to what I understand, pretty close to are the humor that I like. But it's great to be able to make a film that I could say, that's mine, and I took the time out of my day, out of my life, out of my year to make something that I think I'm proud of.
Right.
And it might not be necessarily proud to anyone else but my family. Hopefully my family. I guess I'd rather be a doer than just a watcher.
Okay.
I find myself probably spending more time making films than actually watching TV or movies anymore. Just because I guess I want to be an artist, and an artist doesn't spend his time in an art museum more than he spends time painting on the canvas.
Absolutely.
So I want to spend more time behind the camera than looking at the art museum.
Okay,
and I know that sounds kind of esoteric and out there, but You know, it's just nice to dream out loud, man.
Absolutely. I'm a dreamer myself. I would be a little bit better if I had a producer that wasn't a dreamer. No, just okay.
Well, and I think that's a really good point. I mean, you know, my dad, you know, he was this workaholic kind of guy. My mom was a workaholic. She was the first woman auctioneer in Ohio. You know, she was working her 40-hour-a-week job. She was going to school full time. She had a part-time job as a bartender. My dad was a construction worker on the side, building houses for 40 to 60 hours a week, and then being a CNC operator, working 60 hours a week. So, you know, I grew up seeing my parents just kind of be intense workaholics. And I think the message that I got from it is, you know, be a doer. You know, don't be someone who watches people and says, well, I wish I could do that. So I think there's a line between being a dreamer and being a doer. Like,
Absolutely.
I want to dream dreams, but like I also want to be a doer. And I think it's a fine line, because the more ambitious you are, the more difficult your ideas are to make. Like, I'm sure you would have liked to interview Muhammad Ali,
Sure.
you know, or Ralph Ali, or whatever he wants to go by.
Right.
You know, like with that,
Cassius Clay.
you know what I mean? You're,
Right.
you know, you care about sports, you care about boxing, that matters to you. Wouldn't that have been a great interview? 5-minute interview.
Absolutely.
Like, how great would that have been?
That would have been
recorded
great.
it, to have it like forever on YouTube.
Right.
But now that option is gone. You know, that chance is gone.
Right.
So, you know, what can we do to leverage ourselves and temper our ambition to our dreams? And I think that, you know, that's kind of where filmmaking has come in. I'm doing the best that I can, and it's good enough for me. I am trying to raise the bar every year, but I'm trying to raise it reasonably, because people are like, oh man, dude, this film, man, it's going to be like Scorsese, or it's going to be Quentin Tarantino. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be earth-changing. Like, it's a 7-minute film, man. You're not going to make anything groundbreaking or earth-changing in 7 minutes.
Right.
You can make something that raises interest or gets people like excited about working with you.
Well, you know, and that brings me to the question: the types of films that you write, you film, you direct, what have you, are they geared towards things that you're interested in, or do you actually step out on that ledge and do something you're totally not familiar with?
So outside of the 48-hour film, I like to do things that are more of my direct interest. And generally, like, I do like to have a comedic element in a film. I'm a funny guy. I'm a fun guy.
Well, you're a funny guy, all right.
But like outside of the 48-hour, I'll do more drama. I'll do more serious, just because I have more time and I could craft it more. I could direct it more. And you could really devote a lot more energy and resources to it.
Okay.
48-hour, I enjoy making a comedy because it's easier, it's more fun. The energy of the crew is much better. You know, because if you have people that are laughing during the takes, after the takes, and are, you know, we're having fun during the shooting, it's going to make it a really great day. If you're having people and it's like, all right, man, you just had a miscarriage, and then, you know, your mother had a heart attack because there was too much for her, and then your father found out that you're pregnant out of wedlock, so he left. So you just got to hold this weight on it. Show me your emotions.
Right.
That's going to bum out the entire crew.
Sure.
You know what I mean? He's like, man, that's some pretty heavy drama there.
Absolutely.
Why don't you bring it down a little bit lighter?
Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned crew. And again, this is a two-part question, but how difficult it is to establish a crew or get a crew? And number two, how difficult is it or how many, let me rephrase that, how many people does it take to film a 5 to 7 minute film?
So for the 48-hour, 5 or 7 minute film is not the same as the 48-hour.
Okay.
A 5 or 7 minute film I could film in 2 weeks.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But the 48 hour is very different, and you need to find the balance between running really, really light and having what you need. You know, it's kind of like in your pockets. What do you have in your pockets? Do you have what you want in them, or do you have what you need?
Good question.
Like everything I have in my pockets, I need to get through my day, to get into my car. I have what I need. In the 48 hours, you have to treat it like a pair of men's pockets. Like, what you need is in there. And if you try to put more stuff than what you need, you're going to regret it. You know, putting a water bottle in there, you know, putting like, you know, an axe in your back pocket. I mean, you might, why do you need an axe? Why do you need a water bottle? You're going to a bar. Come on, man.
Right.
So, I mean, for me, I like to run a little bit slim, but I need to have what I need. First, I know how to use all my camera equipment, so I'm going to be the videographer and director. That's bad. But in the 48-hour, it makes things go faster.
Okay.
2, I record all the audio into my camera, so I don't have a third person recording audio. So I don't have to worry about if he's doing it right or not doing it right. But I try to get a musician that really knows how to record like albums or music to have a second pair of headphones on and to listen. My job is looking, his job is listening. Now we both are listening, but I want him to hear things that I'm not noticing.
Okay.
So with that said, I should have exactly the video that I want because I'm in front of the camera, and I should have really, really good audio. All I need to have is actors hit their marks. And I try to give the actors their screenplay at 9 o'clock Friday night. So, like, they'll have a screenplay to read.
Wait a second. Friday at 9 o'clock. Now, they release the times at what, 6 or 7?
It is.
Or the genres?
It's helpful that I type like 150 words a minute.
Okay.
And I'm the writer. So, like.
So you also write?
I write. My wife helps me usually.
Okay.
And this year she's going to. So we'll brainstorm for about a half an hour to hour. Once we have the ideas, we'll have ideas kind of in the air as a timeline.
Okay.
And then I'll have her start writing and building the timeline out. And then I'll just start writing. And then as I write, the characters write the stories themselves. I mean, a guy sits down at a bar. What is the next thing? He's going to ask for a drink probably, or ask for a menu. So like there's certain things that like happen just because of common sense.
Okay.
So I just start writing it, and I find the more that you write, the dialogue, the actions, the movements, don't worry about the camera stuff. Just like, what are the actors doing? Why are they doing it? And what dialogue do you want them to say? Not that they need to say it for the 48-hour, but they have something so they understand what the characters are. And if, like, one year I made another film that I had a lot of problems with. Because I didn't write dialogue between two girls that were in a scene. It killed me because it ran over. They ended up talking for like 7 minutes. The movie wasn't about them talking.
Okay.
If I would have wrote like very, very strict dialogue, I could have seen that, oh, she's running over a little bit, but it looks good. Oh, she's not missing like all those points. We need to retake. Instead, it says, girls bicker. And that didn't give me a very good idea of how long my screenplay was.
No.
Because then you're
Dr.
guessing.
Scott, when you're writing and you're writing these characters, are you writing some of these characters to some of your own thoughts? Or are
absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
Absolutely? Okay.
But I mean, at the same time, like, I guess I always go back to like the Three Stooges or like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I try to like see how can I make the most ridiculous relationships possible and still work.
Okay.
Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it doesn't gel because you just don't have enough time to craft it or to really spend time on it. But at the same time, I mean, best you can do is the best you can do.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. You got a minute to stick around?
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Welcome back, and thanks for paying the bills. Dr. Scott, continuing on, thanks for sticking around and hanging out with me here. It's truly my honor. I think you're a genius when it comes to filmmaking and the things that you're doing out there.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate it. But going back to the one question, I'm not sure if I was real clear on. How many people does it take to actually create a short film?
Oh, you were clear. I just was avoiding it.
Okay.
So, to kind of give you the best answer as I can is, you never really know.
Okay.
So what I do is, I know I'm always going to have probably at least one call off the day of. And the reason why I'm able to make it only one and not like 5 is I'll usually try to have the basic film crew, maybe 4 people, expecting that I'll have 3. If you get real actors, if you go to Neopal, which is Northeast Ohio Performing Arts and Theater, blah.
Okay.
It's a really great website. And it's a really great source to get actors. It's not a really great resource to get anything else. But anyway, if you have actors will almost always show up because you are doing them a favor. They are not doing me a favor. I am doing them a favor by letting them in my film, and that's great because now I have one more thing that I can count on. Now, if you start saying, hey, let's get the bartender, she seems really cool, really fun, she may or may not show up. If you find a guy who's sitting at the bar that you never met before, he may or may not show up. He might be really cool. He might have a cool look. He may or may not show up. So what I do to try to weed that out is I'll say, we're going to meet up twice before the 48-hour film shoot. Twice. And we're going to meet up the Friday nights of the 48-hour. So that's 3 times before Saturday. Why would I do this?
Well, I would assume that to show the sincerity of them being
There it
part of the
is.
team.
There it is. I want to know that they can make time out of their day 3 times. If I know that they can make time out of their day or life 3 times, they're going to show up Saturday. I can depend on them, and by judging how late they are to those 3 times, I know when to expect them to show up. I know, okay, this guy, he's really dedicated, he's really devoted, but he's always half an hour late. Then I know that when I say, okay, we're going to start shooting at 8, I don't really mean 8, I mean 10.
Okay.
But I'm giving people that window, one, for table reads and just kind of review script and review material, and to talk about the location, the scene. And then, because there's nothing wrong with working with non-actors. They're great, but they don't have the devotion and dedication that actors have.
What makes somebody a good actor in your opinion? Or actress?
The most important quality that I care about is good energy on the set. If I have a person that is a so-so actor, he's okay or she's okay, they're mediocre, but when they come on set, they keep all the other actors positive. They coach them, they help them. When they're unsure of themselves, they're positive. I want to work with that person. That's who I want to work with. And maybe that's who I want to be friends with. Because those are the people that I want to surround myself that they try to stop the drama. That they try to bring positive energy and try to make it a good experience. Because when you have the negative people, they can be brilliant. Some of the most brilliant actors in the world. Like Christian Bale, cussing out everyone on set of Terminator. I don't want to work with someone who's like that. I was like, hey, dude, it was good working with you. Bye. Don't come back. I don't need you in my life or my film.
Right.
I'll make it work.
So Dr. Scott, I'm going to ask the question one more time.
All right. So
how many people does it take to make a 5 to 7 minute film?
So my rule is I like to have about a 3 video crew, and that's video sound, like sound, 2 camera operators.
Okay.
Okay. Minimum. That's minimum, and that's a nice tight ship that you'll move very quickly. Acting, I like to have no more than 5.
Okay.
I'll take 6, but 5 is the golden number because I can work with 5. So right now I have under 10. I could feed under 10 pretty easily. If we need to move to another location, we can move pretty easily. I get and that's another big rule. I only do 2 locations, and those 2 locations are within walking distance.
Okay.
Because when you have a big cast, let's say you had 10 people, 15 people, they're not all going to make it to the next location, or at least in a timely manner. So I like to keep it smaller. Now, I've known groups that have we have 15, actors, 10 of them are going to be extras, and we have, we have an 8-person crew to do the filming. I'm like, dude, that seems heavy. I mean, just for me, because it doesn't feel maneuverable.
Right.
Because I want to have an 8-hour shoot. I want an 8-hour film shoot, and that's that 8 hours includes lunch, breakfast, table reads, recording, reviewing material, going over it. We shoot from 8 to 5, and we're done. Done. At 5 o'clock, we're done.
And at that point, you turn over to the editors?
I also edit, but yes, I would at that point I would turn it over to the editors.
And how many people does it normally take on a short film, in your experience, to edit?
I mean, it really depends. If you have a really, really solid editor, it's puzzles. You're putting puzzle pieces together, and you're making a coherent story. And the reason why they don't like having a lot of people say not to have the director edit is the director is in love with every shot that he loves, but those shots might not tell a coherent story.
Okay.
They might not tell a good story. They might be bloated in areas or underbloated in others. He might gel with one actor, and he really is always giving him headshots and not giving it to everyone. So an editor generally is kind of like, I'm not involved with the filming, I'm not involved with the writing, I'm just here to make a coherent story. That's it, I'm editing. So, it's a kind of a check and balance that I have to do to myself. Is this telling a story, or is this inflating my ego? And it's a challenge being the editor and director and videographer. It's a challenge.
And writer.
And writer.
You're kind of doing it all.
I am doing it all. It's a challenge, but it's a challenge on ego, because when you write, you have a story. When you give it to the actors, the story has now changed, because
Yes,
those
it
actors
has.
are going to put their twist on it.
Right.
Then when you hit action, the story has changed a third time. Then when you edit it, it has now changed a fourth time. So by the time you get to the final product, it might not.
Completely different than what it started originally intended to be.
So as the writer, I try to never have the writer be on set when I'm filming, because if the film does start changing because of me or because of the actors, that writer's gonna be like, no, actually you have to do this. And it's like, you're not the director, and you're not in charge of this. And it's not that they're wrong. They're right. But it's not their job.
So who actually makes that call then? I mean, who's the one that's
The
going to...
director. And that's when friendships
Okay.
start breaking, and that's when, relationships start getting destroyed, because then you have to tell your friend that you're buddies with, and it's like, you're wrong, shut up.
Okay.
And it's fine to tell, in professional world, if you tell someone's like, hey, I'm the mechanic, you're the driver, let me fix the vehicle, you drive. And it's like, no, you got to use, and it's like, hey, you do your job, I'll do mine.
Right.
And I think that that's hard when people are friends. They never have jobs in their normal life, so it's hard to say, you do your job and I'll do mine.
So how have you, since the beginning of your filmmaking days, learned how to distinguish the difference between that
hard.
friendship and that...
I've destroyed
that
a lot
position?
of friends. A lot of friendships have been ruined with the 48-hour film, at least 5 or 6. And because of that, now I only try to work with people that are really interested in filming, or interested in doing
Being
acting,
a part of the team or what have you.
exactly, because they understand that I'm the leader and I have to lead. And being a leader means telling them that they're wrong. But I always try to make it a policy: everyone should have an opinion. If someone says, hey, wouldn't it be cooler if you said this? Sure, let's do it. We'll see. I believe in going multiple directions, but there can't be 8 directors. There needs to be 1.
Right.
And it's a slippery slope. It's good to have feedback, but it's good to have control.
Dr. Scott, what does it take to be successful at filmmaking short films?
Organization. Like when you're editing, organize your footage. Like when I do filming and I'm editing, like I have, day 1 footage, day 2 footage, day 3 footage, day 4 footage, or camera 1 footage, camera 2 footage, audio. Like I have folders for everything. Because like if you're organized and then you take a break, you sleep, you come back, you don't have to try to rediscover how you're organizing. You just look at it and it's organized. So, and that's just editing. That's a film with food. So if you are trying to organize food the day of filming, you're gonna have a nightmare time. if you organize food like 3 days in advance or a week in advance, everything's locked down, you have a schedule for everything, you're probably going to have a pretty good day.
So organization, in your opinion, is the key to successfully. How do I say that? Success.
Yes. So like organization, are the settings in your camera properly? Go through your checklist. Are the settings on your audio device properly? Go through your checklist. Have the actors had time to look at the screenplay 3 or 4 times and to read it through out loud 3 or 4 times? Check. You do all these kind of checks and balances. All of a sudden, you realize everyone is prepared, and the only thing that could cause a failure is us not liking it. Okay. The story not being good. At a certain point with organization, the only thing that's going to ruin your project is your creativity.
Right.
Which, when you're really creative, that happens.
Sure, absolutely. So, Dr. Scott, we're going to wrap things up here, but I just want to ask you real quick, in 3 words, because the whole purpose of this 48-hour special is to get more people interested, get more people out there signing up, and so forth. Sharing their artistic abilities, their production abilities, their acting abilities, what have you.
Right.
And in 3 simple little words, how do you succeed at this business or this hobby, so to speak?
I suppose I could say it in 1 word: determination.
Determination.
If you're determined to do it, if you want it, you'll do it. Because you'll find a way.
Lights.
Camera.
Action. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, to Rant and Rave with Don Michaels. And next week, we're going to have a new producer. We don't know who the new producer is going to be yet, but the old one is fire. I love giving him a hard